everybody, welcome to Shooting the with Yankee. And as usual, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Tonight's topic is going to be background checks. You know that 4473 you fill out every time you go buy a firearm? Do they actually do anything to make people safer? Do they save lives? Do they prevent crimes? And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I don't think they do. I've never seen any evidence that would suggest they do anything of the sort. Here's the thing. The government loves to pretend they stop crimes by saying, oh, we stopped umpteen thousand felons from buying guns this year, or prohibited persons from buying guns this year. And the reality is you prohibited that many people from completing a firearms purchase that year, but the vast majority of them, like over 90% of them, were false catches. People that should have been allowed to buy a gun, not bad guys trying to buy guns. And here's the other thing. Even if you were stopping bad guys from buying a gun, let's say 10% of the people you stopped actually have a felony and you stopped them from buying a gun. Did you stop a crime? Did you stop a murder? Probably not, because most of the people who have felonies in their background, they're not trying to buy a gun to commit another crime. They're trying to buy a gun to defend their family or to go sport shooting or whatever. A lot of times they don't even remember that they had a restrictive thing in their background. Even if someone is still a hardcore criminal, to say that if they bought a gun, they were going to commit murder with it would be quite a stretch. And when you take into account, like I said, that the vast majority of people who are stopped from buying a firearm because of background checks are people that should be legally allowed to buy a gun, what background checks are doing is they're just inconveniencing legal, law-abiding citizens from exercising their right. Plus, this is a way the government gets to control who has what. It was a way for them to be able to say, not only can we track who has what when we're not supposed to do that, but we can also control who has what. If we decide we don't want someone getting something, we just have to say no. We don't have to say why. And it's up to them to fight us. We can delay it. And a lot of times there's been evidence in the past that some administrations ask the ATF to be a little tighter on giving out approval so we can say gun sales were stymied during our administration, etc. That less guns were sold, less guns made it to the street. They play politics with your rights. And the background check just gives them an opportunity to do that. And never, ever, not once has it been shown to definitely save a life or have any effects on crime rates. Crime rates are unaffected by background checks. Because here's the thing, when you ask most criminals where they got their guns, well, they don't say, well, I went to the store and bought it. Career criminals don't do that. They get their guns off the street. And here's the thing, it's often cheaper to get a gun off the street. You know, you might have to go to a store and pay $600 to pick up a firearm. You might get that same gun on the street for $200 or $300 because it's stolen and they're trying to move it. So it's cheaper to go get it off the street and easier to get it off the street for them. So all that does is create a black market for guns for people who probably shouldn't have them, because you're cutting out the discretion of the distributor, of the retailer. Because I know lots of retailers, when someone comes in their store, if that person's acting weird or got a problem, they're not going to sell to them. They don't want to risk their FFL license. That guy on the street selling stolen merchandise, he don't care who he sells to, as long as you got money. So in a lot of ways, background checks actually make it better for bad guys because they get their guns cheaper by buying stolen ones. And that's where most of them get it. Surveys of prisoners who use firearms in a crime, etc., most of them got their guns from illegitimate sources. Now, as far as some of the major causes for crimes, like domestic violence, interpersonal issues, well, those things aren't stopped by background checks either, because those aren't career criminals. Those are people who commit crimes of passion. And when they bought their guns, they were fully legal to buy the gun. So it doesn't stop anything like that, because a lot of times when you see these interfamiliar things, like crimes of passion, like murder, suicides, killed their ex-wife, went to their store, those people never committed a crime before that. and that's the norm. So these things don't stop stuff like that. So in the end, background checks do nothing to stop crime. They do nothing to save lives. All they do is foster a black market, making it more likely that criminals who steal your gun will be able to sell your gun, and prevent law-abiding citizens from exercising their rights when they should be able to. So no, they are not good for anything. And that's why I don't support them. So let's see if anybody disagrees with me over here. I got a couple people weighing in. Edgar Cortez says, in a word, no. I have not seen one study to show otherwise. If someone has such data, I would like to see it. Well, there is no data that says that. In fact, data says the opposite pretty much. Even the CDC usually comes out and says these things have no effect on crime rates, have no effect on anything like that. The assault weapons ban, they came out and said that there was no evidence that it had any effect on crime whatsoever. Whenever the government bans something or makes it harder to do something, when they just go after the tool, never seems to have an effect. Period. It's almost like they don't really care about that they're engaging in theatrics that would disarm the population, so that's their real goal. Because like I said, even when Obama said, we're going to go against the norm and we're going to actually have the CDC do a study to show you how bad guns are. We're going to give them millions. And then the CDC came back and went, yeah, guns aren't really the problem. He went, wow, let's just push that under the rug and never speak about it again. So the numbers don't exist to back them up, and they know that. Ghost Shadow said background checks fail. Sutherland church shooter, his check was clean because court didn't enter his records. Mass shooter from Oak Harbor passed background check with multiple court orders on his file. Yeah, even in the even in the circumstances where someone usually is a bad guy or has done bad things in the past, often doesn't even get reported. And if the fact it doesn't get reported shows you they don't give a shit. It's all about control. It's all about registration. It's all about knowing who has what and controlling who has what. John Mandrick, it may catch a few dumb ones, but honestly, they don't stop anyone from getting a gun. No, especially, if you're just stopping the stupidest criminals, are you really stopping anything worthwhile? Not really. And plus, usually one of the things they leave out is who do these people tend to victimize? These stupid criminals, usually other stupid criminals, because usually that kind of violence is like gang on gang violence. And that's about the only thing you could say that you might be able to slow down. And even then, like I said, they just get their guns illegitimately. You're mainly just inconveniencing legal law-abiding citizens. Charlie R. Hi, Phil. My trailer is still standing. Should violent criminals that don't want to have a gun be set free in the first place? Well, no. Violent criminals, I think, that have not been reformed should be in prison. We should reset our prison system to where it's about reform. That's what prison is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about the reformation of criminals. It's not supposed to be just punishment. But along the way, they determined, the same people that decided you need background checks, determined that, hey, it's more profitable if you just lock them away, feed them, give them some weights and some TV, and make money off of them, instead of actually trying to rehabilitate them, instead of having educational programs, instead of having, community service or social counseling, all that other stuff. Let's just lock them away and make money off of them. In fact, that even creates more criminals, because then you have judges who, when they would normally say, hey, you did something bad, it's your first time, I'm going to give you probation and set you on your way, I'm going to send you to this juvenile prison because they give me $1,000 for every person I send. And we've seen that happen. That's something that really does happen. So, people that commit crimes that are not safe to be out in society, they shouldn't be in society. If you're a danger, if you're a criminal, a career criminal, where you've shown that no matter what you're going to do, you're going to victimize others, well, then you should be locked up. You shouldn't be out and about. We put down rabid dogs. So I have no problem with that. I don't think 95% of the people that are in prison should be in prison, but the ones that do need to stay in prison need to stay there. But unfortunately, those are the least profitable prisoners, because they're actually violent. They're actually dangerous. You have to keep your eyes on them. You have to actually do the job of a prison. And they don't like that. They'd rather have a bunch of drug addicts that are just going to sit around and watch TV and maybe lift some weights. So that doesn't seem to be an option in our society today. Well, that looks like that's about it today. Looks like I didn't get a lot of disagreement, and I don't think a lot of people could disagree. Like I said, there's just no evidence to support background checks doing anything to stop crimes. It doesn't exist. In fact, the evidence exists to the contrary. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section of this video. And if you want to be part of the actual conversation, you want to weigh in live, come to one of our live chats. We do them every night at 6 p.m. except for Wednesdays when they're at 7 p.m. So come on in, let your voice be heard. Maybe I'll see you at the next chat. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.